Hello and welcome to another episode of Momento Malum today. The ancestor of the domesticated quail is the wild Japanese quail. Quail have been historically raised in the East and Southeast Asia regions as fighting, song, and decorative birds. The earliest available records of the use of quail for these purposes comes from a Chinese document dated between 770 and 476 BCE. First instance of the species being used in Japan was the 12th century CE. The species was then shifted to meat use and egg production in the 17th century, and its purpose remained stable from that point onward. Near the end of the 19th century and early 20th century, the domestication process began in earnest. This happened across Asia, where egg production improvements happened. In the period between the 50s and 90s, the breeding process to make this a meat animal was started and completed, and the meat breeds of quail were developed during this time period. This happened in the United States and Western European nations. Dr. Lukyanov and Dr. Pavlova would utilize and analyze the data existing within the scientific literature to determine how the domestication process affected the quail populations that were domesticated. And here are the results. The common color of wild quail is a brown and white coloration, found in most common ground birds. With the breeding process established, there were many color forms being made, such as gold, tuxedo, dark brown, black, white, redhead, and several other color types. They also bred for several feather types, such as ruffle, porcupine, short barb, downless, and several others. The wild form weighs between 85 and 110 grams, with the males weighing less than the females. The domesticated types range in weight depending on their purpose, with the egg layers being the lightest and the meat type being the heaviest. These domesticated breeds weigh between 100 to 130 grams for males and 120 to 160 grams for females. The dual-purpose types were predominantly raised by hobby breeders in Europe and Russia for egg production and meat, and weigh between 200 to 250 grams. If you want to donate to my channel, the links are below. If you want to buy my book, you can also find that link in the description box below. From a behavior standpoint, the domesticated populations have lost their instinct to migrate. This is likely due to breeding the Japanese quail with the European quail during the 70s to increase the size of the bird. Due to how poorly domesticated and wild populations have been studied regarding their mating behavior, the changes that have happened in the domestication process remain largely unknown. Wild quail exhibit nesting and breeding behavior from April to August. These instincts are nearly absent in domesticated quail, with only rare instances of brooding showing up. Crosses between wild and domesticated stocks show intermediary behavior, indicating that fear responses in quail are genetically determined. Vocal activity in domesticated populations were 30 times more intensive than the wild stock, and the domesticated males had higher testosterone than the wild males, increasing the number of mating calls and increasing male aggression. From an egg production standpoint, the wild stock can lay up to 42 eggs a year, while the domesticated egg breeds can lay up to 250 eggs per year. The wild eggs, on average, hang around the 7.6 grams in weight range, while the domesticated breeds produce eggs that range between 9 to 14 grams. And those are the changes that have occurred in quail populations through the process of domestication. And that about covers everything. Thank you for watching.